Noam Chomsky. And Noam Chomsky came up with this idea of universal grammar, and that this is inherited. And he even sees it like wired into our genetics. He speculates that even if someone was raised feral, like say by wolves or something, a human child would still develop their own language, even if there were no other humans to learn it from, because human language is how humans interact with and interface with the world. And so he really challenged the idea, if you remember back to John Locke and the tabula rasa, this idea that we're all born kind of like this piece of paper with just this blank slate. And then as we have experiences, different data or information kind of gets put on this blank slate. And then we use our reason to combine things together in new and meaningful ways. Well, Noam Chomsky is saying, no, you're born with this. You already have this template going on in your head. You may not know the specific sounds or words of your particular language group, but you are hardwired for language. And it's kind of like if you've ever seen little kids, like especially twins, often twins will create their own language that only they know. And they often do this as very small children. And I had quite a range of spectrum of kids in my family. Right now, they range from 33 to 16. So I don't even know what that is. What's that of? That's like a 17-year spread. And what I would find is with the really little kids, like the prelinguistic kids in the house, I often couldn't understand what they were saying. But if I would ask their slightly older siblings, they could like interpret for me what the younger children were saying. And I just thought that was really interesting. And because they were doing almost like their own different dialect within the broader scope of the language being spoken in our family. So I like this about Noam Chomsky. He's saying humans actually aren't born with a blank slate. We are hardwired. I think we're hardwired for things beyond just language, but for the sake of this class and chapter, I think that's a really fascinating thing, and maybe something that does make us unique from different animals. Although I think we could certainly make a case that animals certainly communicate and there would be linguistic qualities. They simply at least animals I'm aware of, have not developed a written language system, although they certainly communicate through grunts and barks and chirps and even like more abstract, right? Like honeybees can actually communicate distance, location, food source, and they do it with a dance. It's like a interpretive dance that the other bees can look at one bee dancing and they'll know where the sugar supply is or where the pollen is and how to find it.
Excuse me, Fred?
So, yeah, go ahead.
So, how do you spell the philosopher's name?
Yes.
Philosopher you were just talking about?
Noam, Noam, and his last name is Chomsky, Chomsky. And he is probably one of the highest regarded intellectuals in America living today. He's gone from linguistic studies, where he does a lot of political commentary, and I find it quite stimulating and fascinating. One of his contributions was called The Manufacture of Consent, where he kind of critiques the press and how they report on things, and it's quite eye-opening. But anyways, Noam Chomsky, universal grammar. All humans are born with the ability to do language. And so a lot of that, the back sheet of this I read to you, would be compatible with Noam Chomsky's teachings.